voiceless, the wrongly accused, facing the fall whose motives are abused. In the courtroom battlefield, they'll stand tall, unveiling corruption. They'll conquer it all against the corrupt prosecutors' wrath. The words like weapons cutting like a path, challenging the system that's filled with lies, seeking truth and justice in their eyes.
Hello, good folks, and welcome to the show. Today, we are having a panel show. It is talking about what's next, what's been going on. May there be any secrets revealed? I have no idea. But I have a couple of guests backstage who are eager to join us, and I will start with a person who I just a few minutes ago, well, both of them I've never talked to directly, but I met the one, and you might recognize him. I want to give a warm welcome to attorney Thug Weinstein.
Hey, Nick. Hello, everyone.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for the invitation.
And yeah, of course, what can I say? I've been doing this for so long, so you guys in the courtroom are a bit of a mythological creatures almost. Like we see you there, you see your work, we read your motions and proffers and everything, and then all of a sudden, oh yeah, they are humans as well.
Sure, we're just regular people.
Yeah, regular people, and doing, as my viewers say, you're doing the Lord's work in the courtroom.
Well, we're trying to protect our clients' rights.
Yeah. And speaking of doing the Lord's work, my next guest, also a person I have not spoken to directly, but I've been in her chat, and I don't know, maybe Doug will recognize her. Hello, Sylvia.
Oh, look who's there. Oh, now you're going to get me in real trouble because I haven't been on Sylvia's cast yet. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Doug. Hi, Nick.
Hey, Miss Sylvia.
How you doing?
You just couldn't wait until, whenever to see me again.
I miss you.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I know.
Yeah, I understand Sylvia is in the courtroom almost on a daily basis, so I would imagine you have seen each other before.
There is nobody that more consistently shows up for our trial than Miss Sylvia, except perhaps my client's mom.
Yeah.
The two of them are there pretty much every day.
Thank you for being here. I mean, I've been watching Sylvia's stuff for quite some time. I have it on in the background because I have the trial on there. I have Sylvia in the other ear, and while trying to do my normal day-to-day job. And yeah, it gets interesting, but luckily with age and experience, much of what I do in labor law is as expected. That you meet people and they try to screw you over and you try to correct them. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
And after 30
I hope
plus
not
years,
too much. Yeah,
not too much.
good.
I mean, in some areas of law, you don't make many friends on the opposing side, sadly.
Okay.
Yeah, but a mutual respect at least. Now, we are. This is a panel show about what we believe is next, and I know Doug cannot really tell us that much, maybe, but I will ask. Well, first of all, Sylvia, introduce yourself to my viewers.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sylvia. My channel is called Infamous Sylvia. I am a trial vlogger. I've been doing trial vlogging for almost 5 years. I started off with federal cases, and I did some civil cases, and most of it is high profile cases. Is all I've worked. This is a high profile.
But you are Atlanta based.
I'm Atlanta based, but the trials that I've covered in federal was Chicago and New York.
Yeah, I've been covering trials since February of last year. So the Young Thug trial, I believe, is the third case I started covering.
Okay.
So I was very new especially with American law, because we do have a bit of different. We go by the Napoleonic system here, and you are wrong. No, but
Well, Miss Sylvia is not just a blogger. Because she's there every day, she has personal relationships with pretty much everyone involved in the case. Yeah, so she really has the feel of the courtroom, you know.
Don't tell.
Yeah. So I was going to ask Doug to help me into the courtroom, but I should talk to Sylvia instead of getting myself into the courtroom.
Probably.
I know how to get in there. I can get you in. I know how to get in.
But one of the things when I decided to go to the United States, because I'm going first to Houston, New Orleans, Montgomery, Atlanta, and then up to Knoxville, up to Delphi, because I'm covering the Delphi case as well. I don't know if maybe Doug doesn't know much about it, but it is.
I don't.
Which case?
The Delphi case is the murder of two young girls, teenagers in Delphi, Indiana. It took them 5 years to arrest Richard Allen. And then what caught my interest is that their defense for Richard Allen is third-party culprit, which happens to be Odinists. And me as a Scandinavian, that piqued my interest.
Sure.
I started to look into it, and sadly, I got a hold of the crime scene photos. And I mean, yeah, the allegations is that it was almost ritual, and they were covered in sticks that had the formation of old Scandinavian runes. And the moment I saw those, and I said, I recognize those runes. Sticks don't fall that way. So yeah, it's a really, really grueling case. And with a judge who recently denied Richard Allen's defense extra money for experts. So there's a fundraiser for Richard Allen's experts. So he can call experts. I believe in that case, the prosecution has a budget of $250,000 for experts alone, and the defense has zero. They had their basic budget. So yeah, but that's a completely different case.
Yeah,
we are here.
In most cases, the state does have far more assets at their disposal than the defense does.
Yeah, especially in this case, the Young Thug case, because I did a rough calculation on what would 200 trial days cost. Now, I thought 200 trial days would be a year. It won't be because all of the breaks and pauses and everything, but I believe there's somewhere between $7 and $10 million in trial cost alone. That's taxpayers' money.
Yeah, I don't know the number, but I encourage any reporters to file FOIA requests and try to get information on what this case is costing.
I tried getting that information. They haven't given it out yet.
Now,
no.
Thank you, AV. Here's AV to the 7th power, who actually has an invite if she chooses. Hint, hint.
Maybe.
Amy's out there in her own shows all the time.
I know. And here's Kat Nod Williams, also invited today. She said earlier that she can pop in when she knows. And thank you so much for the gifted memberships. And now the last month has been quite interesting. After 3 months of absolute boredom, all of a sudden things picked up a bit with the secret ex parte meeting. And now I've been reading up on the rules and rule settings and stuff, and I don't understand how Judge Glanville can rule the way he can. But you, Doug, you practice there. Have you ever seen this happen?
You know, ex parte meetings should really only happen in civil cases. This is the case law talking. I'm just repeating what our appellate and Supreme Courts have said. But ex parte meetings should really only happen in exceptional cases in civil, and in criminal, pretty much almost never. And of course, if you've seen my motions, you've seen that I don't believe that this was an appropriate meeting. I don't believe that the judge followed the proper notification procedures that he's required to do. And yeah, this is just not proper. So we're going to see what another judge thinks about that, and whether this action calls into question Judge Glanville's bias, whether there's at least an appearance of impropriety, which I think most would agree there is, such that Judge Glanville should recuse himself. I think that's where we're at. Yeah, these ex parte, this was not appropriate, even before the transcript came out.
I mean, the transcript is almost secondary at this point in time, the fact that it happened. And then you have the standards if it is perceived or if it's actual. Because I know that in the Delphi case that we talked about earlier, she has been asked to recuse herself. The judge there, Judge Go. And no, now I'm confusing the two. The appearance of whatever the appearance.
Yeah, the appearance of impropriety.
Yeah, and that should be the standard, because we are talking about the entire judicial system here, not the individual judge, how it's perceived. That's why. But what I was thinking about was the Fannie Willis disqualification, where Judge McAfee applied the actual instead of the perceived, which is now up in appeals court, I believe.
Yeah, that's a different issue, I think, that's going on over there, because that has to do with the relationship between the Attorney General, the DA, and then one of her employees, and how that impacts. And there's issues about appearance of impropriety, and is that sufficient? I actually think in that particular case, look, I just have been dabbling in that. That's not my case, but I think in that case, there's a real question as to whether the disqualification of the Fulton County DA's office would be appropriate. I tend to think it would not, under the case law that I've read. But I know that I'm sure that Ashley Merchant and Steve Sadow and the other attorneys in that case would disagree with my assessment. And I haven't looked at that recently enough to be able to talk intelligently about it. But the last time I looked at it, I didn't see it.
Now, I haven't studied that case law extensively, but I do know about another person who may want to have a word in of it. Hello, Avi.
Hi, guys. Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Avi.
It's good to see you guys.
You too.
It's good to see you. Nick, firstly, congratulations. Thank you for inviting me on. I like the yellow blazer. It looks great. Doug, it's good to see you too. Thanks again for coming on my side. And Sylvia,
Absolutely.
you are just crushing it with the coverage on this. Like, I'm so happy to be here. Nick's like, hey, I'm doing a panel. I'm like, I can join in for a little bit, but I might have to dip out. So I wanted to jump in just to ask the three of you guys a question, and then I do need to get back to bar exam study. I am wondering, the three of you, what your opinions are on what you think is the most surprising thing from the transcript that came out this week?
I will let the others because I have my answer.
Nick's like, I know. Let's go to Doug. Doug, what do you think?
Well, not a darn thing surprised me because I was informed about everything that happened at that meeting. And pretty much everything that was transcribed, that I was told was transcribed, was right there in the transcript. So nothing about it surprised me. And so, and yeah, there's other things I could say about that, but not right now. But nothing surprised me in that transcript. It shocked me, maybe, I'll say that, to actually read it versus being told what happened. It's just shocking to actually read it.
It is.
Yeah.
Miss Sylvia?
It was shocking for me because it made me think I'm watching a television or movie or something like that. Because in real life, you don't think something like this would happen. I just saw corruption. That's all I thought. It was like, oh my goodness, this is really happening in a real court system in America. And I'm like, wow. Coercion, corruption, all that C's.
Yeah, I'm uncomfortable with the word corruption, but I believe I did use the word coercion in my briefing, so I am okay with the word coercion. Corruption.
I use corruption. I'm good with that word.
I'm not going to tell you what word you use. I'm just saying I'm not buying into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think coercion is a big one. I'm going to agree with Doug on this one, just because there's certain sentences and terms that I really wanted to highlight with a marker and just highlight the whole line. But, I did these crimes, things of the like. They're small one-liners like that. And it was just really surprising. I agree with the two of you, Doug and Sylvia. It's surprising to finally see what actually took place. But another one-liner is, "Judge, close your ears."
Yeah. That's why I think corruption. That's what I think corruption.
I mean, that's quite a line. And the other thing that really just surprised me, but just see it in writing. Judges really, in my experience, go out of their way to tell defendants, to tell witnesses, to tell parties, I can't give you legal advice. And this happens all the time where actually you're in a plea deal, you're doing something, defendants will start to ask questions of the judges, and the judges will be very careful to not give legal advice. And here we have a judge clearly giving legal advice. I would argue incorrect legal advice to top it all off. And that was shocking.
Yeah, the most shocking for me, it's two things. First of all, that everything in that transcript was said so casually. That, I mean, you're in front of a judge, sworn in witness, and even if the prosecution and the judge may or may not have done this before, which may be a conspiracy theory, sue me. No, please don't. But it's so casual. And that was very unnerving. And the other thing is for you who don't know, I spent 3 years in the European Union as a documents analyst. I read tens of thousands of legal documents on high level. And I have that gut feeling, no proof, no evidence, something's missing. I don't get the time doesn't add up. And when I did a live reading of this the other day, I read through the entire transcript in roughly an hour and 33 minutes. The meeting was 2.5 hours and the pauses were 30 minutes. Now, you can say somebody's talking slow, there are mini breaks and stuff like that, but it just doesn't add up for me. But I can speculate and I can do that because I don't practice in the United States. So I'm kind of allowed to. But there's something that tells me all of it isn't there. And
Sylvia gave us the eyebrows. She's like, yes, that is a confirmation.
Oh,
funny. Too
oh,
funny.
this is a good question from who? No, there. Do you think they did that to Bean?
Mm.
It's
Well,
we don't know until Mr. Bean's lawyer speaks out.
well, here's one thing I'll say. It's really unfortunate about that ex parte meeting or hearing that took place, because now it's made me feel and sound paranoid, right? So now, because there appeared to be an attempt to not tell us about that meeting,
Yeah.
Yes.
we had to learn about that on our own.
Mm.
Once we learned about it, there appeared to be an attempt to obfuscate and hide as much of that as possible, because the judge was unwilling to release the transcript for weeks.
Yeah.
His position eventually changed. But it does make you wonder, were there other ex parte meetings that took place that we're unaware of? I have no evidence of that, but it just makes me wonder. And
Yeah.
why should I be in a position of wondering that? I mean, we
Exactly.
should have confidence in our judiciary.
Mm.
And again, that's why the standard for recusal is appearance of impropriety.
Yeah.
You know, they don't necessarily have to have impropriety, but the appearance of it, because we don't want the public to question our judicial system. They should be confidence in that. And I believe that this, and you guys can tell me, I mean, does this undermine the confidence in our legal
Oh.
system?
Oh, it 100%.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've been shouting from the rooftops for months.
Years, like, and not even
Yeah.
Nick, you've covered this. I think before Lead and I covered this. Like, you and Sylvia were like the bedrocks of actually bringing this case to the public. You know, I think the two of you have really shed some light on it. Sylvia, the dedication going to the courtroom every day. But Nick, I remember you in like December of 2022 from Sweden talking about this.
Now, my first stream was in end of May of last year.
Wow. Okay.
So it's a bit over a year I've been covering this.
Mm-hmm.
As I can't say the exact word, but the entire thing of this is a Fuster clock. Then you can change the letters as you wish. And I believe it was, well, looking back, there were red flags all the time. I mean, in the prosecution's opening statement, Mr. Steele goes for mistrial because of she shared 4 slides with the defense, and it was 65 she wanted to present to the jury in her opening statement. I mean, looking back, there were red flags all along about prosecution, or perhaps even to the level of misconduct. And the tactics, in my opinion, seems to have been all along that, well, you have all the discovery. You have this since whatever date. You could have looked at it. Why didn't you? Well, because it wasn't timely. And the prosecution just Friday evening at 10 p.m. handed it over in a file we couldn't open, which also seems something that happens. It never happens, at least in where I practice, that you get the files and you open it. But all of a sudden in this trial, you get the files and you can't open them.
I don't think they intentionally gave us things that we couldn't open, but I'm more concerned that they intentionally withheld discovery way past the deadline to present it to us. The Georgia law is very clear. We are supposed to, and discovery, for those watching, is the evidence the prosecution intends to use against our clients. The state law is they're required to give that to us 10 days before the start of trial. And if they'd have followed that, we should have had all discovery in December of 2022.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'll give you a caveat because I'm a lawyer and there's always exceptions. The law does, and I play it straight because I'm happy to play it straight. The law does say 10 days before trial, or basically whenever the judge says to give it to us. Now, I think the intent of that is often judges will say, don't wait till 10 days before trial, get it to them before that. But it does say 10 days before trial. So we were getting discovery throughout the summer. Forget the discovery we're just getting. We were getting terabytes of discovery throughout the summer. Miss Sylvia remembers this. Throughout, and you probably remember it, Nick. Throughout the summer of 2023, we were getting terabytes of discovery. And I was complaining about that in court. And the judge would wag his finger at the prosecution, and then they do it again. And at one point he said, and this is a remark I will never forget for as long as I practice, he said, well, if this was a civil case, I would not let you use that discovery. And I thought in my head, you mean if money is at stake, you would throw it out. But where people's lives, their lives are at stake, you're going to let that in. And I was, I respect Judge Glanville. I'm going to say what I think he's a good judge. I don't know what has happened in this case, but I was shocked by that comment.
Yeah, and one thing that sticks out in my mind is all of these jailhouse calls. I remember the jailhouse calls for Slug, where you got 5 different jailhouse calls, and then the prosecution said we are going to use this, and this, and they renamed they renamed the jailhouse calls. They called it something else when they told you guys. I believe Mr. Shard was the one who
I'm sure
went up there and said, we don't know which one of these 5 it is, because they are naming it something else than it's named in the discovery. And now in the big scheme of things, stuff like that happens. But when it happens almost daily in a, 8-month trial, well, not 8 months, because for people who don't know, a trial starts when the jury selection starts, technically. But from November 28th going forward, weekly, if not almost daily basis, there's always some issue with the evidence. Sometimes it's renamed. Sometimes it shows up the morning of. And the judge made a good ruling, which honestly he should have stick to it. If you don't have the witnesses and the evidence attached to them by Friday end of business, you can't use it, more or less. And comes Monday, and then Miss Love talks for 15-20 minutes, and all of a sudden it's allowed. I normally, I'm very glad that Doug haven't seen my coverage because I have other words I use for that.
Okay.
It sounds like it. We have a lot of Scandinavian things, but listen, I just wanted to pop in real quick, Nick, and say hi to everyone. I'm so excited that you guys are all coming together. Thank you for the invite. And you guys definitely helped me, because we're trying to, we're team defense here. I think sometimes we just want to educate folks with what is happening, how it works, why it applies the way that it applies, and we'll go from there. Also, I'm moving from Atlanta to Boston, so everyone's like, Evie, it's so echoey there. I'm literally in an empty room, and we're making it work, right? Yeah. So they're like, hey, it's so echoey. I know.
Boston,
guys. But
you're scary close to Canton and the Karen Reed debacle.
Yes, it's down the street. It's not
well,
far
be careful
away.
when you walk around Boston. Don't smile at people on the street there. They will think it's and strange. They'll kill you.
Or they might just back over you in the snow. That was a bad joke. That was a bad joke.
Sorry, Boston
Terrible
people.
joke.
Yeah.
But I
I'm
was
sure
born and
Boston
raised
is
here,
next.
so Boston people
Okay.
are going to be fine with that. But at the same
Yeah.
time, thanks for the invite, Nick. Good to see you, Doug. Great to see you, Sylvia. I know this is going to be an amazing episode. So thanks again for the invite.
Yeah,
Bye,
thank you for
Amy.
being here.
See ya,
Thank you so much.
Bye,
AV.
everybody.
Have a
See you
safe
soon.
move.
Will do.
And good luck,
Thanks.
Ed. Good luck with the bar exam. Good luck.
Oh, thanks. I'll need it. Bye.
See you later.
Oh God, that brings back bad memories. Studying. Oh, thank God that was so long ago. Oh God, that's really a long time ago. Yeah, but another thing that struck my mind also very, very early on in the trial is when Judge Glanville says we have to make this fair for both sides. And I reacted immediately because no, there's one party in a trial setting that has the guarantee of fairness, and that's the defendant. I mean, I thought that was Constitution and Bill of Rights foundational, but apparently that's quite common in a trial setting nowadays. And I don't know if it's been that for a while. We have to make it fair for both sides.
I think when he said that, I think what he intends to mean by that, he'll often say that basically he's just the referee up there. He's not there to put his hand on the scale one way or the other. He's calling balls and strikes, the usual thing that a judge kind of should be doing. And I think that, and I believe if you were to, he can't do it, but I believe if you were to put Judge Glanville on this show, he would tell you in all sincerity that he believes, I imagine he would say he believes he's done nothing wrong and that he's not biased. And I've certainly
and
tried to believe that for a long, long time. But I've just, that ex parte hearing was just a bridge too far for me.
Yeah, I mean,
So I've reassessed.
You didn't feel that before then? You didn't feel
that he was biased?
Yeah.
The problem is, I'm a party to this, or I represent a party to this. And so I feel that my view is necessarily going to be biased. And so if I'm perceiving something from the judge, perhaps that is just, my bias creeping in. I'm not, I question myself because I bend over backwards. And yes, I saw how he treated Brian Steele. I saw how, I'm not blind. I saw how ADA Love could continue to argue after she lost and 80% of the time get the judge to change his mind. And that was frustrating. And that led to, my comments about the ears off a donkey thing. I think I just had enough at that point. And I'm frustrated by that. And I believe if the defense would behave the way that she has, that we would have been torn up about it. So I guess I did perceive some things there with respect to that. I'd have to be blind not to, but I didn't want to believe it. I didn't want to face that.
Yeah.
Until the ex parte hearing gave me no choice. But that's the first time I asked, that Wednesday after the ex parte hearing is the first time I asked the judge to recuse himself. Because that was to me, a solid moment that I could point to and go to any judge and say, look at what happened. There's certainly violations of the Judicial Code of Conduct. There's an appearance of impropriety, and Judge Glanville should be recused from the case. That's where I had something solid to work off of. And it has caused me to reassess somewhat. So yeah, I guess Miss Sylvia, I did see it, but I didn't want to admit to myself that I saw it.
Yeah, because I imagine you have been before Judge Glanville throughout your career on several occasions.
I have not, but many have, and I have heard nothing but positive comments from people that have been in front of him. And if you talk to people that have been in front of Judge Glanville, they will tell you that their experience with him prior to this case has been fine.
Yeah,
He
It's been
used to be
fine.
an great judge. I've been in his courtroom before, so I've watched him work. So it's kind of weird to me now that he's going through what he's going through, because I never seen this before.
yeah,
And that's what
I've
you
heard
hear
that.
from everybody.
Yeah, and I saw that in my chat as well from people who are in the area, some lawyers in the area, and they say we don't recognize him. So I don't want to speculate. No, I'm not going to, because you can't, because he has his PTSD from his service. That's a real thing, and this is a long, grueling case. I mean,
It's a long case that's stressful for everyone involved.
yeah,
Everyone involved. Okay.
yeah,
The prosecutors, the defense
mm,
attorneys, the
mm,
defendants who are locked up. I can't
yeah,
imagine the additional stress that
mm,
adds to them and their family. The
mm,
judge, his staff.
yeah,
It's very hard.
yeah,
Someone asked me
and
my opinion on Woody being on social media.
If that was your client, would you allow him to be on social media like that? Would you count it against it, or what? What would you do if that was your client?
I don't know, but I'll say this because I'm not going to say what, you know, his attorney should do. But I tell you this, I ask you one question. Does that look like a man afraid of his life? Does that look like a man who's
no,
afraid that members of this alleged YSL gang are going to come after him when he's floating around in a pool and tooling around in a neighborhood where
mm,
there's been incidents and
this
streaming it all live? Does that look like a man who's afraid of us?
no, and
Yeah.
I actually he Woody, for better or worse, is not scared of anyone. There's something in his demeanor that says he has few F's to give about anything. He's simply not scared. And I also learned during my coverage that at one point Woody was considered one of the top 10 most dangerous persons in Atlanta. You don't get there by being scared. And then another thing also that I think is quite funny is that when we watch all the police interviews from the different plea deal takers, there's a lot of people talking to the cops,
Mm-hmm.
and they are all alive. It's almost as if the YSL isn't this dangerous street gang. Isn't that strange?
Not to me. It's not strange.
No?
So, yeah. So, well, Mr. Copeland's out there living his best life. So, more
Yeah.
power to him.
Doug, I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
Now, if
You want to save it for your show when you get me on?
no, I'm going to ask your next show. So now, if everything doesn't change, say they don't recruit Judge Glanville, how would you feel?
I would feel disappointed in our judicial system that another judge doesn't believe that what Judge Glanville did merits recusal. I would be sad. I mean, this case has kind of made me a bit sad anyway.
Yeah.
And really, I've lost some faith in our system a bit, but we'll see if we can redeem it. But if he isn't recused, I was disappointed that when I made my motion for recusal on Wednesday, June the 12th, that the judge did not follow the procedures. I was shocked by it, actually.
Yeah.
And that made me sad and angry.
Yeah, and I do remember from more or less the denial from the Georgia Supreme Court. Their language was very interesting when they lined up, this is how we deny it because it's the wrong court. This is how you do it. And for the Georgia Supreme Court to even write that takes a lot.
They could have easily given a one sentence or one paragraph denial saying if you look at our rule, unless you have been frustrated seeking relief within the superior court system, you shouldn't come to us, and therefore we reject it. That would have taken less than a paragraph. Instead, they spent a week. They wrote a 3-page opinion. I don't know if you saw the footnote on their first page, but when they cite the part of the rule that the judge failed to follow, which is once the affidavit makes allegations that would merit recusal, that's the end of the inquiry, and the judge should give it to another judge. When the Supreme Court cited that rule, they italicized that portion. So I think it's clear to me that they were sending a message, and that's really barring the relief that I was seeking, which I wasn't sure if the Supreme Court would do it. I kind of expected them to just reject it and say go to Fulton. But this is kind of what I was hoping for, which was go to Fulton. And by the way, it's very, I think there's a sub message in that Supreme Court opinion that was very clear.
Yeah.
And then you have
Don't you think so, Sylvia? Yeah.
Definitely. Because I was saying it when I was doing the live about it, I said it was a method to this. So it's like, yes, I sent it there, but here's the reason. This gave me more ammunition when it goes.
Oh, look, This was thought out. I mean, we read the rule before we filed in the Supreme Court. We knew what the rule said. And that's why if you go back and read our initial petition to the Supreme Court, you can see where Katie Hingerty and I, who co-wrote that with me, we make the allegation that seeking relief in Fulton County would be futile because it would likely go to Judge Glanville, and Judge Glanville has 2 writs of mandamus, 2 petitions for writs of mandamus that have sat in his chambers for almost a year. So what's the point of going to Fulton? And then so when the Supreme Court basically rejected me and said file in Fulton, they also made it very clear Chief Judge Glanville will not hear this. Will not hear this petition. It will be heard by a different judge. And sure enough, that's what happened. It was assigned to a different judge. Now that petition is moot. I don't really need it anymore because Judge Glanville this past Monday did everything I asked for in the petition.
Now, so in essence, that means that are we now going back to June 12th? Or will Mr. Steele's attorney proffer? Because now he's going back even further to beginning May and April in his proffer. So that
right. So we have two different motions. In my motion for recusal and Jeffrey Williams, Brian Steele's motion for recusal are different. My motion for recusal is solely focused on the ex parte hearing and some conduct since then. Failure to follow the rules on the 12th, but also failing to follow all the rules surrounding the ex parte hearing. So I'm just focused on that week. If you read Brian Steele's motion, he does go back a ways in his motion. Now, I'll tell you what Georgia law is, and I'm not going to address Brian Steele's motion, just addressing my motion. If the judge that hears this recusal motion, if he or she finds that recusal, the judge should have recused on the 12th when I asked the judge to recuse, the case has to be rewound to June the 12th. I don't think that's really possible. I don't know how you ask the jury to unhear days of testimony from Mr. Copeland. Rulings by the judge affecting that testimony. I think it'll be tough. The law says you rewind. For my motion, the judge says the law says you rewind to the 12th. For Brian's motion, I'm not quite sure what you do if the judge finds that because Brian's asked for recusal, I believe, several times. Certainly he's asked for mistrial repeatedly.
The first time during state's opening statement.
Yeah, he asked for a mistrial back then. So, I don't know what happens with that, but just with respect to my motion, they're supposed to rewind to the 12th.
Yeah, and you do have, because parallel to this, you had Judge Peterson, who was removed from the bench, and one of the reasons was her conduct during an ex parte meeting, but this was a civil case, which the Georgia Supreme Court handled as de novo.
And Judge Peterson, I mean, her conduct is so much. I mean, her conduct was insane.
Yeah.
So I hate to compare Judge Glanville to that, but that Peterson opinion came out. When did that come out? I think it came out a couple of days before I petitioned to Fulton.
Yeah, I think they wrote it.
They
wrote it June 6th, and it was published June 8th, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It may have been after that, I think. Anyway, but I think the Supreme Court's Peterson opinion was after that. But because it felt like some of their language was really directed at some of the behavior in Judge Glanville's courtroom.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if that was a bit of a subtweet, in a way. I mean, do you know what we're talking? You know what we're talking about, Sylvia, right? With Judge Peterson over in Douglas County.
Yeah.
So, but she had an ex parte hearing that was totally inappropriate. And I actually, when I petitioned, and Sylvia, I think I know you saw this because you read it on the air. I think I saw that.
Yeah,
I do watch a little bit of you. So, I opened my petition to Fulton County with a paragraph that was lifted right out of the Peterson opinion from the Supreme Court, which came out 2 days before. I think it came out 2 days before the Friday I filed my petition in Fulton, where the Supreme Court opines on how detrimental it is to the public's perception of justice to have these ex parte hearings.
Yeah. Now, Jermaine Down super chatted a while ago. I hope you are still there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if the judge wanted to use the emergency exemption, shouldn't he have stated the emergency on the record? I assume so.
Yeah, I mean, he's if you read his order from Monday, which I'm sure Sylvia has read that as well, and so have you, Nick. If you read that order from Monday, he seems to rely on the emergency exception for holding that. And then he cites two things as the emergency. I believe one is an issue of whether Copeland had received proper counsel, right, from his attorney.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the other emergency.
I think it has something to do with threat.
Well, no, I mean, from the bench, he alludes to a threat.
Okay.
But when you read the actual order of Monday, I don't really see that in there as a reason for the emergency. But I don't believe there was an emergency there.
Well, maybe from the prosecution.
It's actually, I think he may have said threat from bench, but I don't believe the order mentions a threat. And then all the cases that he cites in support of his ability to hold an ex parte hearing is where you have a defendant threatening a witness. There's no evidence that any of the defendants in this case have threatened Mr. Copeland.
No, and as we stated earlier, Mr. Copeland, nothing in his behavior says he's scared of the defendants. He's not scared of the judge. He's not scared of the prosecution. The only person he seems to have some respect for is the court reporter.
Well, she's a very nice person, and she treats she knows people that are on the witness stand or in stressful situations, and she treats them with humanity across the board. She's a really good person with a great heart.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, the first 3 months I didn't see her smile once. But then all of a sudden she smiled, and okay, now I get it.
Well, she's focusing on her work, and it's really hard in there because oftentimes we don't do it intentionally, but we'll talk over each other a little bit. We don't do it. I don't do it intentionally. But we'll talk over each other some. And then sometimes the attorneys in the back aren't using the microphone, so she's just trying to pick up on what everyone's saying.
Yeah, and then you have this rule.
Yes, I talked over Miss Love once. Okay. I did.
And then you have this rule that the judge tried to impose on you, which I don't understand. the legality of is that you have to wait for another person to object before you object, so you don't object at the same time. But you guys, it's your own client you represent. Now,
Well,
I know
it's
about that.
you know about the Harvey rule, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Harvey
It's-
rule is that one objection, it serves as an objection for all defendants. The big problem I have with Judge Glanville berating us for objecting simultaneously is that we don't have mind melds with the other defense attorneys. So we don't know when each other are going to object. And if he wants to put in like a Jeopardy style buzzer system, that would, no, seriously, that would,
Yeah.
I'm not mocking him. I'm just saying that would effectuate what his goal is. In other words, we buzz and then, we lock in and then that person stands.
Yeah.
But barring a system like that, I have no way of knowing. I'm in the very front. I don't know if Max is going to object in the back. I don't really know.
No, and you can't risk the question being asked and answered. You have to get the objection in. And,
We do.
Yeah. And poor Mr. Nichols. He's mentioned, once or twice, Mr. Harvey's client, and he can't get severed. And then
D. Williams. Williams' client.
D. Williams. Yeah. And then you see the plea deal hearing a few days ago or a week ago. Those seem to be more involved than Mr. Nichols or Mr. Harvey's client. They blend together a bit for me, the names and everything. I should know them by now, but I don't. But I need to
you're looking.
Yeah,
you're looking at activity that happened a decade ago.
Yeah.
Maybe some people did some acts, maybe they didn't, but the idea that there's some kind of organized gang, it's just ludicrous. And you saw that with their gang expert, right? You saw that with their gang expert who, this is a hybrid gang. That's why they don't meet the definition of a gang. Well, what's a hybrid gang? Well, a hybrid gang is whatever I say it is.
Yeah.
Made up name.
And when Miss Gautier took the stand and was proffered, because I didn't watch that part of the Daubert hearing pre-trial with her, if I knew. Now, again, speculation, because she left the force after 19 years for some odd reason, because you get full pension after 20. She took a job at, Cook County DA's office and spent 3 or 4 months there. And then she left because it wasn't for her. Now, I have done labor law for over 30 years. I know exactly what that means. Either you quit or we will fire you. Yeah.
They told you to leave.
That's my impression, at least, by my experience. But all of her, isn't it weird? All of her reports are missing except the evidence the prosecution needed. Isn't that strange, Mr. Weinstein?
It's very convenient. It's very convenient, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or where's all the video from the McDonald's?
Yeah.
Where people allegedly met up after Donovan Thomas was killed. They have video cameras there.
Yeah.
Where's that video that would support their case?
Yeah, it's like the laundromat incident. There's no surveillance video. There's no surveillance camera. And then, could you please enhance that bit of the crime scene photo? What's that? Oh, it's a camera. Now, let's listen to the radio traffic. Oh, they're talking about watching the surveillance video. Imagine that.
Well, I'll tell you what, that laundromat incident was probably one of the longest months of these jurors' lives. I think it took a month to get over for that act. Is that about right, Sylvia? About a month on the laundromat?
Yeah, I would say 5 weeks on that.
Yeah,
I think that's what prompted me to file my motion in March to move this case along.
Yeah, but I remember pre-trial, one of the last ones, Miss Love tried to argue for 6 to 9 months of trial. And the judge said 6 months. And here's one more thing that I find so peculiar. When the state said they were ready for trial in December of 2022 or November of 2022, they had roughly 70 witnesses. End of November 2023, they had 774 witnesses. That just piled on and piled on. And then Judge Glanville did the right thing. You need skim the necessary. Okay, 400 witnesses. Skim some more, 200 witnesses. And these are the most important witnesses in the entire case. Without them, they can't say anything. And 2 of them were from Heinz, a rental car company. They spent 6 hours combined on the stand talking about how to rent a car.
Waste of time.
Well, yeah, I argued to the judge. Sylvia was there. I think it was at the end of March, but it's all blurring together now. I asked the judge to put a time limit on the state, given how long they were taking. I cited Judge Reeves out of, I believe, the Eastern District of Kentucky, a well-respected federal judge. It's a case that's not binding on Judge Glanville, but it's been cited over 60 times and followed, where a judge put a time limit on the prosecution presenting their case. And Judge Reeves made a very good point in his opinion. He said, it seems there's a time in every young lawyer's life where they lose a case because they failed to put on a witness or failed to present a certain piece of evidence. And that second or third year lawyer vows for the rest of his career, that's never going to happen again. So you're going to put on everything. Judge Reeves continues, in civil litigation, you have a natural constraint in the bills that the party has to pay. That keeps it in check to some degree. But in criminal, where you have a prosecutor with unlimited funds and unlimited time, there is no constraint outside of the judge to put a limit on their case. So Judge Reeves said, put a clock on it, put a time on it, limit the number of witnesses, do something. And let me also say, with respect to that, maybe I'm glad that the judge didn't do that. I don't know, because what happens in my experience in all endeavors, be it creative, writing, whatever it is, when you put limits on things, you force efficiency, creativity, you get a better product than when you say, do whatever you want, take as much time as you want. And that's kind of what we have here. So that ruling, the judge was completely within his rights to deny my motion. I'm not going to, he didn't do anything wrong. I just think everyone would have been well served by the judge putting some constraint on the state and their ability to keep our clients locked up and keep them in trial for years.
Yeah. Now, we are at the 1 hour mark, and this is a panel show where what's going to happen next, what happened, what does things mean. But I might have disclosed to Doug before, but not to Sylvia. This is also a ThuggerDaily appreciation stream. Yay. Because, oh my God, that man, the work he has put into this is uncanny. And he really been there since day one. The day of the arrest, he was reporting on it on Twitter.
Yes.
And I read this article just the other day that he gets peanuts in ad revenue from Twitter for this. So, folks, now...
Does he have a Cash App?
Yes, he does. He has, and it's pinned to the top of the chat, his Cash App. So, folks, this is now a ThuggerDaily appreciation stream. We will still go through the case and everything, but what I would like you all to do in the chat and everything, show your appreciation for the amount of work ThuggerDaily has done by sending a buck or two to make his phone blow up, because I have not told him I'm doing this. He has no idea why his phone starts to blow up with Cash App pings. So if you don't bother me, don't bother about super chat. I'm not stupid. I won't turn you down, but send it ThuggerDaily's way.
So it's Ben Jesus. That's what it is. Because I can't really see it.
Yeah, Ben with 2 N Jesus.
Okay.
Now I
have to say something about ThuggerDaily.
Yeah.
I think what I really admire about ThuggerDaily is his kind of, for the most part, just the facts. Here's what's going on. It has taken some slant lately because, I mean, who can watch this trial and not begin to take a slant? But he really is giving the blow-by-blow details of what is happening in this case, and lets you draw your own conclusions for the most part.
Yeah,
and he's educating the public about the case, and I really admire it.
Yeah, and he's starting to get recognized by Court TV and by Law and Crime. They start to include him, retweet him. He's growing as a Twitter handle. But the amount of work he has done for this. And if I'm out of ideas, let's see what Thugger has written. Oh, that's an idea for a stream. So, I mean, he helps me. I mean, I've had some contact with him. I've been trying to have him on, but our schedules are always colliding because I'm 6 hours ahead of you guys.
And it's late up there, isn't it?
It is 2:35 a.m.
Thank you. As someone that spent 10 years practicing in Taiwan and dealing with a 12-hour time difference, I feel you.
Yeah. Yeah, first doing the day-to-day job and then started streaming. Now, again, I'm lucky that had this been 15, 20 years ago, no, I wouldn't have handled it because I wouldn't have had this experience I have now. Much of what I do, I know the law, I know what's dispositive and not dispositive, I know what arguments, I know what to bring to. For instance, now I am negotiating a factory close down. I know the laws involved.
Look, he came in. ThuggerDaily just came in.
Oh, there he is. Man, I've got...
Yes!
Man, I got Tasha blowing up my phone right now. Hold on just a second. What's ThuggerDaily say?
He said, holy crap, the Cash App started flying in. I was wondering where it was coming from.
No matter how much is coming in, it probably only equals about 10 cents an hour for what ThuggerDaily's been putting into this.
Yeah, so keep it going, folks. The ThuggerDaily's Cash App is pinned on depending on what you're looking through, on the top of the chat. Keep it pinging.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to send ThuggerDaily an invite.
There you go.
Look, you made him come out the bushes.
I hope he heard all the good things I had, or he or she heard all the good things I had to say about him. So,
yeah, I have no idea who it is, and the Cash App name doesn't say much either. And I don't want to dox the person behind the ThuggerDaily Twitter account, but you are much appreciated.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I know if I'm at a court doing something and Katie Hingerty is in there covering the trial, that if I keep the ThuggerDaily tweet stream there, that I have a pretty good chance of knowing what's going on in the case.
Yeah, I mean, his coverage and then the background and then somewhere with the music. And I mean, as you might I'm not a rap aficionado at all. So this world is completely new to me whatsoever, because as I say to my viewers, this is 1,000 years of successful Scandinavian inbreeding. I'm as white as you come. That's not. And I'm a heavy metal, and so yeah, still have rocking that long hair.
Oh, that's
But
right. I do see your heavy metal stuff sometimes.
I
That's
see in the
right.
back. Yeah.
yeah, and that's one thing that scared me about this trial, was because when I covered the Henry Jenkins trial in Texas, I got a lot of blowback because I'm comically white. You can't cover it. You can cover this because of this and that. And I said, well, sorry to be you. But this case, nothing of the sort. And I'm so happy, because that was one of the things that scared me going into this, that you say this only because you're racist. And I don't give. I was born with a limited amount of fucks to give, and I have very few left. Just saying.
Well, Twitter calls me a racist and a misogynist because I said that,
Racist.
because I said that DA Fani Willis should resign or certainly not be reelected given her handling of the Trump case.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
so
And
they're
I
like,
have
"Oh, you're
had.
just a
They really
racist
don't
and a
know you. They
misogynist."
really don't know you, do they?
I don't know. Maybe I am
They
a
don't
secret
know you.
racist.
Now
Oh,
I
you
have
know.
told Miss Willis a few other words, because I don't like people who lie in church. I really don't. I have a big aversion of people who lie in church, and people who screw married men. But that's.
Yeah,
And
well,
then she is very adamant of her pronunciation of her name. And I'm Swedish. I pronounce it Fanny, and I understand that it's slang for something interesting, the back end, but in Europe it's slang for the front end. So she should blame her father for naming her after the entire undercarriage of a woman.
now I'm going to scold you now because I think it's very important to call people what they want to
Yeah.
be called.
Mm.
Funny.
Yeah.
Funny.
I
And
will
so
take it.
if
I will
her
take it.
name is Fani and she wants to be called, I work really hard to try to get people's names right.
Yeah.
I think it's just respect. So I'm.
Yeah.
Doug, someone wants to know. Doug, someone wants to know, what do you mean by the ears of the donkey? That's what they just asked me to ask.
Oh, I will tell you that, but then, unfortunately, I'm going to have to drop off because I just have a client that is I need to deal with right this second. Ears off a donkey, Sylvia. You know the expression, don't you? It's a expression I grew up with my whole life, and I am from the South,
That
even
means
though I
you're
don't
talking too
necessarily
much.
sound
That's
like it.
all.
It just means like somebody is just talking and will not stop, just talking and talking and talking. So, I guess, I don't know where it comes from. I guess donkeys have long ears. And if you're talking, you just like wear that ear down on the donkey with him listening. So I wasn't calling, first of all, I didn't even mean to say it. I think I was just frustrated and I regret saying it. But I was not calling ADA Love a donkey. If anybody in that situation is a donkey, it's me. I'm the donkey because I'm the one whose ears are being talked off, or the judge is the donkey. But it just means you're talking and talking and talking. That's all it means. So all I was saying was ADA Love is just keep talking. And I know why she does it, because if she keeps talking, she often can get the judge to change his mind. And I just can't get a word in edgewise. So please just let me get a word in here.
Yeah.
That's all I meant.
Now,
you can hear my frustration again.
Yeah. Now, before you run off.
Say it quick because I got to go.
Okay. The judge's abruption of the defense, but not of the prosecution. And sometimes I've seen him argue the prosecution's case against your motion for the prosecution. Is that something you experience in courtroom as well?
Well, that's actually kind of common. Like if you've got an issue before a judge and it's what we call a hot bench, you're arguing, but the judge will be asking you a lot of questions, and it's giving you, I like it because it's giving me the opportunity to directly respond to opposing counsel. So I would much rather you put forward opposing counsel's position and give me the chance to respond to that than you not give me that opportunity.
Yeah.
So I'm always happy to face any opposing case or view and let me explain why our position is the better position. So I'm fine with that.
What about when he's finding cases for that side?
Well, here's the deal. Shoot, I got to go. Here's the deal. I'm sorry, I got a client and they come first, but here's the deal. They used Carlson's book on evidence as like the Bible, as if it's higher than the Supreme Court of Georgia or the U.S. They used Mr. Carlson's book on evidence in Georgia as the Bible in this, and that book has a lot of cases in it, and you'll see him refer to Carlson, page 393. And the thing about Mr. Carlson's book is it's very pro-prosecution. Heck, he works for the state. So at times.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry, Nick. I apologize for having to leave.
Clients first, always. Thank you.
You know how to get me, Sylvia. Okay. See you guys.
All
Bye.
right.
Thanks.
Bye.
Nick. Bye, Sylvia.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, Nick, it's back to us again.
It's back to us again. Now maybe it's, I don't know. I do not risk anything because I don't work in the United States. I have. There's another case in Atlanta that caught my eye, and that is the Shane Kendall case. I don't know if you know about it. It is a wrongful death suit against Fulton County Jail, the city of Atlanta, and a few others, but not against Miss Love, who was the person who put him in that in Fulton County Jail, despite he was born with,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm meeting his lawyer. Is coming to Denmark, which is just 45 minutes away from where I am. So I'm meeting up with her in Copenhagen in a week and a half, I think.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, but Shane Kendall was born a crack baby, and he has had lifelong diagnosis of schizophrenia with visual illusions, ADHD, autism. I mean, the entire spectrum included. And in that competency hearing, Ms. Love argued that it was all fake.
Yeah.
And so I have been calling Ms. Love interesting words, because I didn't like her before I knew about the Shane Kendall case, and I thought I would wait until Doug leave, because he is a genuinely nice guy. You are also an extremely nice person, but I believe I can talk more freely about my... I will not say I hate her, but I do believe she's completely unfit for her position. She should be nowhere near a courtroom. With what I read the transcript from that competency hearing. Yeah.
Wow.
I have a few videos on the Shane Kendall case up. I will, if this pause goes longer, I will do a more deep dive into the Shane Kendall case.
Okay.
But that poor boy didn't deserve to die in Fulton County Jail.
Yeah.
And it's extremely sad, and in my opinion, but this goes back to this prosecutorial immunity.
Mm-hmm.
She more or less can't be in that lawsuit. I'd say she deserves to be in that lawsuit, because without her, Shane Kendall will still be alive.
Wow.
Now, I hope you folks still are doing ThuggerDaily's Cash App is pinned on the top of the chat. Now, the Young Thug trial. What because we are missed. If I remember correctly, Woody is witness number 84 or 85 out of 206, and the quality of the witnesses so far has been interesting. Yeah, terrible. And what on God's green earth if they restarted and keeps going? How much more of this can anyone survive? I mean,
the good thing is, if they restart, they got to start from scratch. They can't use the same witnesses again.
Oh,
yeah, they have to start from scratch. Those old
if they start from scratch
can't be used.
Yeah, because there are certain very, very interesting testimony. I remember Mr. Velasquez, who on the stand under oath admitted that he when he took witness statements, he erased things until he got the one that he liked.
Yeah.
How can you even defend such behavior? I mean, everything he said should be barred from court because apparently he enjoys tampering with evidence.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about Gaither, where there's no no reports, nothing?
Yeah, except the evidence the prosecution could use. That's interesting, which should be attached to the reports.
Yeah.
But coincidentally, the reports are gone. And then you have Slug's visit to the hospital, which is referenced in the prosecution's own material. Yes. And Judge Glanville still says, no, you can't reference to it because you don't have evidence it ever existed. And it's in the States.
It's in there. Yeah.
I think that was the point where I went to, this is strange to, this is really bad.
It is.
This judge is making really bad calls on the stand. And then it just got worse.
I really want to see what happens now. I really want to see what happens. I don't know.
Well, one witness I'm really looking forward to is Mr. Sprinkle, former ADA Sprinkle, because he is the one who recommended to drop the charges in the Donovan Thomas case.
So
he's a state witness. So if he gets on the stand and testifies as he did during the Robert hearing, there's no case.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one thing I forgot to ask Mr. Weinstein about. If the murder case is gone, then, because every other thing, the statute of limitation has run out. They're only in...
You had 2 murders on there.
2 murders. Okay. Which one? Oh, which one was the other one?
Who's the other guy? I can't remember his name. That's the one where they say Nickel has something to do with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it's called I can't remember his name, y'all. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Chanel Drinks. Yeah. Thank you, Thugger. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thugger.
Yeah. But at least that is one of them gone. And if they manage to get the other one gone, because much of the RICO case is in those murder charges. Without them, they have nothing. Because the statute of limitations has run out.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Bass. Well, I want to speak to you personally that I have never been truthful a day in my life until I just made this statement right now. Bass shows up every once in a while. Thank you so much for your support. But not necessary. This is a ThuggerDaily appreciation stream.
Yes.
His cash app is... Keep his phone blowing up this evening, folks. Keep his phone blowing up. Now, Miss Sylvia.
Mm-hmm.
You said you've been covering court cases for 5 years?
Almost 5. It will be 5 in July.
Yeah, but do you have
any? July? It's 5. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yay! Happy anniversary!
Yeah, July 9th. In fact, what's today? It's not time yet. It's a couple of days. July 9th.
It's in the area. But what's your background? What's your background? How did you get into this?
I was in finance. But when I was a child, I always wanted to be a lawyer. But because I hated to read, because everybody get on me about the reading thing, I hated to read, and I was good in math. I went on into the finance side. And so when my company transferred to Florida, I didn't want to move with them. I took the severance package, and now I'm living my dream.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing.
And I love it. I love it. And I'm just like ThuggerDaily. We don't get paid, but I love what I'm doing. I love it,
Folks, go over. If you haven't subscribed to the infamous Sylvia yet, you should. And I would be surprised if you haven't. Get her numbers up and everything.
Thank you.
No worries. And so finance. That means I'm assuming a thing or two here, but you see patterns, I assume.
Yeah, I see patterns. Yeah.
And patterns in this trial, there are not many of them, and most of them my neighbor has a big pile of manure. That's still cleaner than this trial. The more I hear from witnesses and people, I honestly feel so bad for other people who are getting their lives uprooted once again by the prosecution.
Yeah. The thing is, they don't realize there are families that's behind all of this. Jeffrey was a breadwinner from his whole family. He has a lot of siblings, a mother who's ill, and they rely on him. He was the person that was taking care of the family. And then the others, they have spouses, they have children, and they've been lacking for a while now. People don't understand that. They think it's just a fun thing just to look at this. These are lives.
Yeah. And for the defendants, and I'm looking at this from judicial point of view, when Judge Glanville said of the transcript he first didn't want to release the transcript until after the trial. You can take it up to the appeals court. Yeah, but who can afford to appeal this? Because just getting the transcript from this trial is $1 million cost. There's only one person.
But for him to even say that, to me, it's like you're saying, hey, they're going to be found guilty, even with all this mess.
Yeah.
So how do you know they're going to be found guilty unless something is up? I don't know. I'm just speculating, y'all. I don't know. But
yeah, I've been speculating about that for a while now, that Mr. Glanville seems to be more or less at the seat of the prosecution's table. He's just in front of them. And somehow, I don't know why, he has an interest in getting a conviction out of this. And I can't understand why, because his credentials are among the best I've ever seen. His military background, judicial background, and the way that people in the area talks about him up until this trial. What happened? And so far we can only speculate, because we don't know what happened.
We don't.
Because everything says he's been a good judge up until now. And now I've been saying this on a few times. He's at the point where I say that he doesn't belong in a courtroom unless he's a defendant. Because I believe what he's doing is borderline criminal. You can't do this to people, even because if the judicial system doesn't work, nobody is safe. Not you, not me, not Doug, not anyone.
Yeah. And it shows that the attorneys are not safe. Look what happened to Steele.
Yep. It took this Georgia Supreme Court and I've never seen a decision come out so fast from a Supreme Court. They got it, and an hour later, the decision was on paper.
Yeah.
And now I don't want to go into politics, but apparently the Georgia Supreme Court is leaning Republican and Atlanta is leaning Democrat. I would hate if that is a part of this, but I don't think it's a part of this, because this is too obvious that something is very, very wrong.
You think they care if it's obvious and it's something wrong? Because for them to do this blatantly like that, it's just like,
yeah, the way they wrote the decision for Mr. Weinstein, the way they more or less paved the way. Here's how you do it. And if I don't remember the name of the judge who's handling it now, but it can be appealed. And the appeals court has already said, since the underlying act is murder, this goes directly to the Georgia Supreme Court. But that takes time. Time these defendants don't have. I mean, Mr. Stilwell has already been stabbed in prison or in jail.
Yeah. Stilwell, yeah. Couple of times. He's been stabbed a couple of times in jail.
Yeah, but during trial, the one I know of, at least. During
back in December, he got stabbed 3 times underneath the ribs and the shoulder and in the arm, if I'm not mistaken. It was 3 spots: the back, the shoulder, and then in his stomach.
Yeah, that's more incapacitating more than, but you never know. I don't know about these things. I've been reading up on the Fulton County Jail and the lawsuits against them.
Nick, I was in there. I know how it is. I was arrested.
Oh.
Yes, Nick, I was arrested, so I know how disgusting that place is.
Yeah,
yes.
I heard about that guy they found in his cell more or less eaten by bedbugs.
Yes, that place is disgusting.
And no wonder why people take plea deals if the alternative is Fulton County Jail.
It's disgusting in there. Yeah.
And it's been like that for a long time. Because in this wrongful death suit, they're going through what had happened. And the death toll in Fulton County Jail, they compared that with Rikers. Well, not one of these larger prisons.
Right, Rikers in New York.
Yeah, and Rikers in New York have 100,000 people. They fit in there, and they had, under the same time as this lawsuit between 2019 and 2022, Rikers had 18 murders. Fulton County 11, and they have. I mean, I believe Rikers is 30 times bigger than Fulton County.
It is, and it's an island itself.
Yeah. So I mean, no wonder. I'm with that knowledge, I'm surprised more haven't taken plea deals.
Yeah.
And it's you can. I mean, you can't. Well, you of course you can imagine it, but for the rest of us, it's so far away from our reality.
Yeah.
And sadly, I believe that this is a part of all justice systems that, they are probably guilty. They could sit in jail for a while, even though it's disgusting. Yeah, but that's not how it's supposed to be. You are presumed innocent until convicted in a court of law.
Yes.
You have all the rights of a free person in jail. You should have. But apparently not in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
And that's, it's so infuriating. Oh, Miles Farley got bond. Oh, nice.
Yeah, he had it back in December.
Yeah,
he got it. He got the bond back in December when his attorney got arrested. He got the bond back then. Miles Farley.
That's one way to get bond. Oh. No,
Nick, I'm gonna have to get my butt up this live. It's been really, really fun. I thank you for the invitation. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for being here. And you're more than welcome to join me. Just make a shout out. And now I was hoping Thugger would be here, but no, we won't see him or her. We don't know.
There's a guy.
Yeah. Yeah. I would imagine.
Twitter live. It's not Twitter, X live
Yeah.
one time, and I heard a male voice. So Thugger's
Yep.
guy.
Okay. Yep. But folks, you still have his Cash App on top of the chat. That will show on for the replay crew as well at the 1 hour mark. And yeah, I think this was a good panel, good talk. We got through a lot.
Bye, Nick.
And yeah, thank you for being here, Sylvia. Oh, you took yourself.
Oh no, sorry.
I mean, where is? Oh, there it is. No, but thank you so much for being here again. Thank you.
All right, have a good one. Good
and
night,
maybe-
everybody.
And maybe we will meet in August when I get to Atlanta.
Definitely. Oh, you coming in August?
Yeah, August 14 to 15. I am in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. All right. I'll see you then.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. Oh, wow. This was great. Doug was here. Sylvia was here. AV was here. And you all were here. You all were here. So, yeah, thank you again for being here. Thank you for allowing me to do this. Without you guys, this would never happen. I mean, it's all thanks to you guys. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I will be sending you off to Legal Vices. Jeff, it's his birthday. So I will be transferring you over to his stream now. But I will do that with us. Oh, first of all, as I always say, hug your family. Unless your family is crap, then screw them and give your love to the people who deserve it. Okay? See you later, folks. Thank you again for being here.